The Flight Test Historical Foundation celebrates the 40th anniversary of the lightweight fighter competition. United States Air Force studies of the early 1960s pointed to future air combat being dominated by advanced radar and beyond visual range missiles. However, U.S. experience in Vietnam was demonstrating that the rules of engagement, coupled with the capabilities and reliability of the new missiles, were resulting in a lower kill-to-loss ratio than in previous conflicts. Small Soviet bloc fighter aircraft were proving to be worthy competition. By the mid-1960s, the Air Force was proposing a two-fighter solution, a large all-weather air superiority fighter and a small advanced day fighter. The air superiority fighter would become the F-15. In the same time period, an Air Force officer named John Boyd and a civilian mathematician, Thomas Christie, formulated the energy maneuverability theory of aerial combat. The theory stated that aircraft with the greatest excess energy that could be converted into turn rate would dominate in a dogfight. Colonel Boyd and Mr. Christie gathered a small group of enthusiasts behind their theory who would become dubbed the Fighter Mafia. Based on the findings of a Presidential Commission on Acquisition and the Deputy Secretary of Defense David Packard's Fly Before You Buy philosophy, a streamlined competitive fly-off between two alternative lightweight fighters was to be conducted. The process included limited military specification, an abbreviated proposal process, limited requirements, and minimal required testing. 5 manufacturers, Boeing, General Dynamics, Lockheed, Northrop, and Vought, submitted a total of 6 proposals. The Vought V1100 and Lockheed's CL1200 Lancer were eliminated in March 1972. Though the Boeing models 908 and 909 were initially favored, they were similar in technology and appearance to the cheaper General Dynamics Model 401. Since one of the goals of the program was to validate emerging technologies, Secretary of the Air Force Robert Seamans chose to select the General Dynamics YF-16 Viper and Northrop YF-17 Cobra for the competition. The detailed design and construction of the YF-16 and YF-17 began in the spring of 1972. The first of the 2 YF-16s had its official maiden flight on January 2, 1974, at Edwards Air Force Base. However, the actual first flight occurred during a high-speed taxi test on January 20th. As the aircraft accelerated down the runway, a roll oscillation caused a fin on the left wingtip-mounted missile to scrape the runway, followed by the right horizontal tail impacting the ground. The aircraft then began to head off the side of the runway. Phil Ostreicher, the General Dynamics test pilot, decided to lift off to avoid crashing the aircraft, and he was able to land safely 6 minutes later. The second YF-16 prototype first flew on May 9, 1974. This was followed by the first flights of the 2 Northrop YF-17 prototypes, which were achieved on June 9th and August 21st, respectively. The flight test program saw the introduction of new techniques and instrumentation, including the use of an inertial navigation system for performance testing. Both vehicles' stability control, cruise performance, and high angle of attack performance were assessed. Energy maneuverability predictions were verified at various altitudes and G levels. Operational evaluations included simulated air combat maneuvering engagements against common adversaries. The General Dynamics pilots were Phil Ostreicher and Neil Anderson, The Northrop pilots, Joe Jordan and Hank Chateau. Air Force pilots, Mike Clark, Joe Bill Dryden, Bob Ettinger, Duke Johnston, Jim Ryder, and Dean Stickle made up the combined test team. The lightweight fighter program flight test activities lasted just 11 months, during which time the two YF-16s completed a total of 330 sorties, accumulating a total of 417 flight hours. The two YF-17s flew a total of 268 flights for a total of 345 hours. On January 13, 1975, the Air Force announced that the YF-16 had won the lightweight fighter competition and would go into production as the F-16. To the victor go the spoils. Over 4,500 F-16s have been built since 1978. The F-16 has seen service in the U.S. Air Force and with 25 other services around the world in a large variety of configurations and roles. This lightweight, low-cost day fighter aircraft has transitioned into a remarkable all-weather multi-role fighter. The YF-17 Cobra was not selected by the Air Force, but to call the aircraft a loser would be an injustice. In May of 1974, Congress directed the Navy to maximize use of technologies from the lightweight fighter program and to include a strike capability for the Navy's Air Combat Fighter program. Northrop teamed with McDonnell Douglas to develop a carrier version out of the YF-17, which would become the F-18 Hornet. To date, over 1,500 Hornets, Super Hornets, and EA-18 Growlers have been built and are operated by the U.S. Navy, the U.S. Marine Corps, as well as 7 other services. From this one program, a competition to build a low-cost, lightweight fighter based on the new concept of energy maneuverability has come 2 of the most successful all-weather multi-role fighter aircraft in history.